Alright. Story time. I f***ed up. Alright, welcome back, everyone. We're at my Twitch desk, because I didn't want to do the whole setup today, because it's just going to be a bit of a quick one, but it's going to be a valuable one, I think. So I'm super excited to share this little tidbit with you, because this is the first time I've ever actually talked about my games that I've run on the YouTube channel, and I'm also really excited because we have yet to see how the fallout from this particular story will go. So if you're interested, maybe there will be a future video detailing how it went and if I feel like I actually addressed what happened. Now, before I dive in, I should also mention that if you have similar stories or if you have some ideas of what I could have done better, then you should come hang out with me on twitch.tv/geeksforgood. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern time for a couple of hours. Come hang out and we'll tell stories and we'll swap ideas. This particular tale happened last week in an Eberron game that I have been running for quite some time. If you don't know what Eberron is, it is kind of magic punk, like steampunk, but instead of steam, everything was driven by like highly advanced magic. There are lightning rail trains and ships that fly in the sky, and there's also a great deal of eldritch horror lying underneath it. It's kind of somewhere between noir and Indiana Jones and the high fantasy that we know and love from typical Forgotten Realms D&D. I love Eberron. I have loved Eberron since it came out in 3rd edition. I think Keith Baker, the author and designer, I think I got that name right. I should check. Eberron creator. Yeah, Keith Baker. I was right. I think he made a wonderful world for people to play in and did some really, really smart things, especially keeping the larger secrets of the world completely unwritten so that it's different at every single table and so that it's the GM's job to come up with ideas for what's actually happening at the bottom of the world. But my party is a group of 4. A sorcerer, he's a kid, and he's very lively and colorful. He's a storm sorcerer, so he gets these cool, like, movement powers and he can get around the map really easily. Another is a blood hunter. My first time playing with a blood hunter, I'm really, really enjoying it, but they're very interesting and a little bit back and forth on the balancing scale sometimes, I find. Maybe that's just how my player is playing it. It's hard to tell sometimes. I also have a changeling ranger. Changeling being one of the specific ancestries from Eberron, where they can completely change their face and their body as well, making them really flexible and sometimes a DM's nightmare. And finally, I have a kobold artificer, who is just so central Eberron perfect, which has a lot of monstrous races in it. I love that character. I love all the characters, though. So 4 3rd level characters, and I have them in a situation where they're going into a bar and they're negotiating transport with this kind of skittish dude who owes a bunch of money to a large goblinoid organized crime institution. My thought is that he's going to start to negotiate with them. He's going to see something out the door of the bar and be like, yo, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to go run and get my little ground ship ready that's going to take us to the place that y'all need to go. You need to take care of these people who have come for me, and we'll do like a little swip swap. So I prepped it. I prepped a couple bugbears, and I did the calculations in kobold.club, which is an amazing resource. It is so useful for quickly calculating encounter levels and difficulty levels and how much you should throw at a player in a day. But all my players were relatively fresh. They might have expended 1 spell slot. They'd been wandering around a market all day. They hadn't done much. They'd almost gotten in a fight earlier, but they were like ready for a solid tussle. So I made it a difficult encounter. Difficult encounter. Difficult encounter. And I didn't spend too much time on it. It was in a tight little alley, and then I left it. And then the day of, one of my players calls out. So I'm like, okay, it's fine. It should hold up for these other players. So I sent them into a fight with several bugbears, and this is not the biggest deal, unless you consider that bugbears have the brute monster feature, which means that a melee weapon that they wield deals an extra damage dice. They also have basically a sneak attack where if they surprise a creature and hit them on the first round of combat, they deal an extra 2d6 points of damage. None of my players have the highest AC in that group. We've lost the Ranger, which is a little bit squishy. And the Artificer himself has a Steel Defender, which has a good amount of armor class. It can also defend other players, giving the attacker disadvantage if it's adjacent to them. So they have a little bit of a tank, and the Artificer can cast a mending spell to heal it. It's got a little bit of survivability. But when I put enemies on both sides of them and have them closing in, and I give them a small encounter up front and then have reinforcements arrive after 2 rounds, my sorcerer burns all of his spells immediately, wasting these couple bugbears thinking that he's going to be out of trouble in a second. And then more bugbears show up. It goes downhill from there for them. They make a valiant fight of it. They don't manage to focus fire. They also get really unlucky. The Artificer has created or found, I can't remember, a wand of web, and keeps throwing webs at these bugbears, and they keep breaking out. They're just strong enough and just dexterous enough to be a pretty perfect counter to the spell web. So eventually, one player goes down, gets healed up, another player goes down, gets healed up, and then the Steel Defender goes down. And suddenly, the characters are in this scramble to try to get away. They get almost away, they start making a tactical retreat, and then the Sorcerer goes down. There are no more healing spells left from the Artificer, and they're in big trouble. The Artificer has gotten this really cool upgrade that I let him build where he has like a syringe gun so he can shoot people full of health potions, which is super fun. They're a little bit squishy. I gave it to them for fun and for free so that I could throw a little bit harder stuff at them at a lower level. The Artificer shoots the Sorcerer full of goods and then immediately gets knocked down himself. The Sorcerer begins to run. The Blood Hunter scoops up the Artificer kobold, slings him over his shoulder, and starts to run, and then a javelin flies through the air and stabs the Sorcerer in the back, who goes down. It's the worst possible situation, because now this one character, the Blood Hunter, who is the only conscious one, has to make a decision about whether or not he's going to stay and fight and probably die, or if he's gonna run and leave his friend behind. Honestly, really good drama. My players were so engaged, they were so into it, they were a little bit disappointed and a little bit frustrated, but I'm really, really lucky with this group especially that they relish the failures that they have. So I said, okay, I'm going to take this out of your hands. Let's have you roll a perception check to see if you notice the Sorcerer going down behind you. And he rolled a natural 1. So the Blood Hunter does not recognize that the Sorcerer has gone down and runs off into the sunset. Really, really terrifying. I am aware that I made a mistake. I didn't look carefully enough at the monsters that I had. I didn't adjust behind the table quickly enough to save my players from a doom that they frankly did not earn. I am aware that this was unfair. They are not. They think that they came up against a tough encounter, they got unlucky, and they fell down. I keep it that way because if I cop to the failure there, then I lose trust, and I need to keep their trust, right? If they ask, I might cop to the failure, and indeed I did say that I planned the encounter for 4 people and didn't adjust it far enough down because we lost someone the day of the game. But I feel like I gained a unique amount of trust by keeping the power, keeping the competency of the DM, and continuing forward. Had them go meet up with their contact, who then immediately said, okay, I sent you guys on what was clearly a deadly errand. I didn't mean to do that. I need my characters to like this guy at least a little bit, and if he contributes, they'll like him probably a lot, which is always more fun than them not liking an NPC that they're stuck with, and they're going to be stuck with this guy for a while. So he uses the money that they have paid him for travel and hires an information broker. I have the information broker come in, ride in on a little mule. He's an old gnome, and he starts to talk about, okay, so I know that these bugbears that you just fought, they dragged your friend off to a secret hiding place. I don't know where the secret hiding place is yet. You have a little bit more time. You guys are going to need to sleep because I don't want them haphazardly spending all of their healing potions and running after this character. I want to give them time to rest while the world progresses around them. And he says, if you guys commit more gold to this problem, I can get some hired help to help you get your friend back. Here's the thing, they aren't just going to kill him outright, because especially a sorcerer or a magic user is especially valuable in the slave market in this place. So they know he's alive. My player who just lost a character is like, okay, good. There's a possibility that I'm going to get to keep my awesome character that I love and really, really care about. And finally, they're also wondering, what is my player that just lost his sorcerer temporarily? What is he going to be doing? So I tell my sorcerer player to make a temporary character mercenary for next time. So he now gets to do the fun thing of making a character without the consequences of having to lose his last one. It makes up for all the bad feelings that he's just had to go through, and suddenly gets to put more creative energy into the game, and at the same time invest it into recovering something that he loves. So next time, they are going to go raid a warehouse and secret underground place. They're going to find out a little bit more about the world. They're going to fight some bad guys. They're going to fight a monster that they're probably feeding the halfling to. We'll see. We'll see. I'm super excited to see how it goes. That's what I did in response to this situation. There are a million different ways that you could have dealt with this. And I'm really curious about your opinions about how you all would have gone about it. So please leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, smash that subscribe button, please, so you can get more of videos like this and more of my other videos, which are more hypothetical, shall we say. Also, we have a wonderful Discord that you should join by clicking on the link down below. It's a delightful community full of other role players. We've had a lot of conversations about role-playing there lately, and about running games, and about being in games, and about how you manage all the more difficult parts of that, which is what really, really excites me, is getting good at this stuff. But it's also a great place for new players and game masters to go to learn the basics. Also, go to patreon.com/geeksforgood to help me make more of these videos. I am only able to continue doing and creating this amount of content because I have such amazing supporters on my Patreon, and I hope that you will join the ranks there. We have some awesome rewards that you can access as you pledge more and more and more, and the more that you pledge, and the more other people that come and pledge, the more rewards will start to stack up. Thank you so much for watching, and keep doing good out there.